What is up, you beautiful people out there? I'm Joe, here with the lovely Nicole.
Hey guys.
And we are ScalpLogic. And today, this is something I've mentioned many times now. This video has been long overdue for a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the mood ring effect of SMP. What do we mean by that, Nicole?
Meaning, essentially, SMP looks different in different lighting. I mean, it looks completely different.
That's it. We're talking during
Yep.
and especially after. We're talking a month after the treatment, the final results, a year after the final results. This is not to be confused with the immediate results, which we're always talking about, right? This is completely different. Cool.
And essentially saying is like, you'll look at one picture of a guy in a dark room, right? Or in a club, whatever. Then you'll see somebody in sunlight. And I mean, you're almost like, wait, is that the same treatment? Is that before he had it done? Is that after? I don't understand. So
it's true.
I think elaborating a little bit about
anyone who has SMP can most certainly attest to this.
Please comment.
Again, yeah, we would love to hear. Again,
Yes.
Everyone's got their own story, so I'd love to hear it through your words.
Yes.
But yeah, that's exactly the point. Especially guys, what comes to mind when I say this are guys who don't have the best treatment, and they find that certain room or that certain lighting where it does look good, right? But then they hide from the good lighting, you know, the bathroom, the beach, the gym maybe, where the lighting's really good and you can kind of see everything. You can't hide any discrepancies. That's what we're talking about. That's the lighting, and that's why we say the spotlight challenge, because when your SMP looks good in the spotlight challenge, then it's going to look good in all different lightings. So let me give you an example. And this is what we mentioned to guys, let's say, who had 3 sessions with us. We have a lot of guys that fly in to see us. We're in Houston, Texas right now. So let's say someone's in Illinois. We have a lot of guys from Illinois. They did 3 sessions. They got some results, but not the final result yet. It's too light for their liking. So they're going out for a dinner date. What's the best move? So the best move is to shave their head tight. Of course, all the results healed, I'm assuming.
Absolutely, yes.
And if they find dim lighting, even though the result is way too light for their liking, the best environment for them is going to be dim lighting. I'm thinking like a nice fine dining restaurant where it's like almost dark in there, right? The SMP is going to pop, the frame's going to pop out, and it's going to be like, you know what? I don't need another session. I love where I'm at.
Yes.
That same guy, you know, let's say he stays in there. It's like you can't see the sun and it's super dark. And you go in there at nighttime, everything's great, and you're staying there for like 8 hours and the sun's rising at 6 a.m. and you walk outside. That same guy who had that awesome hairline is now looking like every other bald guy.
Yeah.
Where's the SMP? I can't even see one dot in the lighting.
And they're frustrated, like, hey, hold on, what's going on? What's going on?
It trips you out. Any guy who has SMP, again, I'd love to hear your comment. It literally baffles your mind. It baffles my mind and your mind, right? I mean, it's to be expected at this point, but it's kind of funky. It's fun, but it can be really frustrating when it's like, hey, it looks really good here. I'm good to go. And then they hop in the car and like, where'd it go?
Yep.
You know, car, typically they see it pretty well. But go ahead. Do you have any stories to add to that?
I do. I would say that, like, I get calls, right? And that's the first step is, like, when guys are wanting to get it lasered off, they're like, okay, it looks so good when I'm at the club. It looks amazing when I'm at a deep, dark dinner. But then the minute I go in the light, I cringe.
Yeah.
And the minute I'm in a fitting room is the one that I've been getting a lot lately.
Fitting room.
When I'm in a fitting room and I'm seeing myself and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really, really bad. That's when
in
they
the
can
fitting room, not to be confused with the locker room.
No, like a fitting room, like when they're changing you and they see the lights and you can see everything and they're like, it looks so bad that I just like want to hide. And that's when they identify, this treatment is too dark. Essentially, that's exactly the spot right there.
What's the spot?
The spot where they realize I need to get this removed. I want something that's natural and light.
Understood. So you're talking in reference to the guys who do end up realizing that their SMP is too dark, because there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of guys out there. And I'll say this to the consumers out there who maybe are considering SMP but haven't gotten it done yet. You know, that's it's a huge consideration. Look at the healed results. Just look at the healed results. I don't know what else to say.
Almost you kind of want it to be lighter in the sun. Essentially, that's what it is you want it to be natural in the sun. You want it to be natural in darker light. You don't want it too dark in dark light. It's that balance, I would say, when it comes to SMP. What do you think?
Yeah, so I would suggest with this information, after watching this video, I hope you'll look at some other SMP providers and take notice now of the lighting that they showcase their results in. I know there's one video, this is a fireside chat. I know I've heard about it. It's not fair to consumers to say, this is what life's like. Check me out in this dark lighting. Can you see my face in the shadow? We're trying to show up close results. So that's all. You know, look, don't be fooled by dim lighting, by dark lighting. Understand it's your best friend if you're a consumer, if you have this done. But being a bald guy, first and foremost, it's bad enough being insecure about your hair loss, to have an inky head and to hide from good lighting, it makes me cringe. You know, it makes me want to give someone a hug and say, dude, there's so many better options out here. You don't have to hide, you know? So the mood ring effect, to be continued on this one, because I think a lot of people underestimate how different SMP will look on the same guy. And I'll add to all this information, you know, we do typically 4 or 5 sessions. So we'll have a lot of guys after 4 sessions, they call us, say, hey, I'm not sure if I want a 5th session.
That's it.
I think I want to schedule something in 2 months. And what happens 80% of the time, the ink continues to settle in, right, throughout the months. We're talking a couple months time period. And it almost gives a, how do you word it? It covers more, essentially. It looks fuller. Essentially what I'm trying to get at is those guys, 80% of the time, they don't call again within that monthly period. Maybe they'll call next year and they'll keep that 5th session in their pocket. But again, the mood ring effect. SMP, it continually moves. Maybe based on your mood as well. I don't know.
I love that.
We're still doing some research on that. There's no confirmation on that one yet. But anything to add to that, Nicole?
No, I think explaining a little bit more, like why does it move? I think explaining, and even in between the sessions, why does it look so, you know, bare at certain times? Very
good. Okay, so the way we describe it to our clients is, let's say just a wall. Most people are familiar with a wall of paint, right, in your typical house. And let's say you paint a wall with, let's say, a gray color, okay, and it's been dried for a year. That color has been in your living room, your bedroom for a year. If you were to repaint that wall, or just a spot with that same paint, that new paint color is going to look like a completely different shade, right, when it's fresh.
Absolutely.
And it takes what, like 6 to 12 hours or a day to dry. Once that paint dries all together, then it's like, oh, okay, everything blends in and it looks like the exact same shade.
And then you see the final result.
Same process with SMP, but it takes about 3 to 7 days for the curing process, the drying process, right? So it doesn't dry in 1 day and 24 hours like a wall of paint. It takes about 3 to 5 days, 7 days, and then that's the initial onset of the fresh ink. After that, 3 to 7 days, let's call it 7 days, after a week, you have the final result. After that final result, it's like the most subtle, slow drip process where it continues to settle into the skin, settles into the skin, settles into the skin. And again, this is why it's so hard to answer questions with blanket answers, because, you know, one guy, this ink won't move. On another guy, the ink is just going to fade away. It's almost like there's a vacuum in his skin making the ink. So typical average client, let's say, right? The ink is going to continue to settle in, and you know, as it does that, it's going to expand slightly as well, right? I'm talking on a microscopic level here. We're talking just on the surface. I mean, these are things you won't see with the naked eye, right? You'd have to take picture 1,000 days in a row to see the difference, right? Very, very subtle, but nonetheless, the ink is continuing to settle in. That's what's happening.
I love it. Now, what would you say to the guys that are in the dark light and they love it, but they go into the light and they cringe?
I would say life is short, man. You know, remove it. You're lying to yourself. And I say that, I'm talking to myself, really, but I think it applies to most guys. I didn't know how bad mine was until I removed it. I'll say that.
That's kind of true.
I didn't know how bad it was.
That's kind of true.
You lie to yourself. I'm like, oh, it looks good, or I stand back here. What you're doing is you're placing restrictions on your life. You know, it's self-imprisonment as far as I see it. And then again, life is short. Make a move. The move is to remove it. If you don't love SMP and you're happy being bald, that's the whole game anyway. Be happy. But if you're being honest with yourself, most people, that frame makes all the difference in life. So if you're cringing at looking at your bald head or your botched SMP, definitely call us. We can help.
I love it. And one last thing. What would you say to the gentlemen that they look at themselves in the mirror and they have almost the perception of what they look at, like, but then what other people see is a different reality? Does that make sense?
Oh, this is good. Yeah. So let me answer it like this. I ask every single client, okay, I think this is an interesting question. If you have $100 billion or $10 billion, whatever that number is, where you never worry about money again, what are you doing with your life every day? And when
he really does ask everybody this.
I really do. And it's important to me. And typically they kick it back at me and they say, how about you? And I can say them with confidence, because I think about this often. I would still do this for a living. Okay. This is the reason why. Guys need, the way I see it, Jason Statham and The Rock, two like highly respected bald guys. I wish they could get together and make a podcast only about their hair loss and tell their war stories to the world. Hey, my name's Dwayne Johnson. I'm the man. I'm worth $100 million. But for a year when I was 26, my hair loss got to me. Hey, I'm Jason Statham and blah, 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 blah. What I'm trying to get at is guys are lost. To answer your question outright, guys don't know what looks good. You know, when I see a guy that grows their hair out like this, or I always reference LeBron James wearing the hairpiece. You know, I make my jokes, but I also know that inside that super famous man who's super wealthy and has a legendary whatever, you know, he's got pain inside because he has hair loss. And I'm like, oh, I hurt for him. I know, I just want to rip it off of him.
And I almost think really quick too, sorry. I almost think that it's like you think it's so bad in your head and that everybody's staring at your hair loss and everybody's like pointing you out while you have your back turned. And I would really say that honestly, nobody's looking at you. I mean, maybe there might be one or two guys or
nobody
people,
cares.
but nobody cares. Like, you know, this is your journey. I'm sorry if I detoured a little bit.
No,
but I
please.
think it's so
I think guys should want to hear from a beautiful girl. What are other people thinking about? Now you're talking in context, like boil it down.
I'm
saying, you know, the bald guys, no one cares about your bald hair, so just let it go.
Just let it. What I'm saying is shave it. Definitely shave it because that does look a little funny. But nobody's staring. Oh, hey, that dude's missing his hairline. Everybody's got their own life going on. So like I know that in your mind you perceive it. I've got to do hours of maintenance before I go out because the world is gonna see me. But understand the world sees somebody different. It's not like, you know, we're essentially our worst critic, our worst enemy. So definitely shave it. Second, get SMP, but get it done correctly is what I would say. Yeah,
if I could just add to that, or just in my own words, you know, there's a graceful way to be bald. Having this frame to your face, it's no different than a guy reaching for a hat, his favorite cowboy hat or baseball hat. Really, you're getting that frame to your face. So, you know, you're saying just be happy with what is. I think really to add to that, more context, life is a balance, right? The yin and the yang. You know, if you just let it go and be that guy growing it out,
well,
you know,
definitely not
it's no different than not getting a shower or not caring about what clothes you wear.
You want to be the best version of yourself.
You want to look your best, but you also don't want to be painstakingly hiding in a bathroom, putting stuff on, putting product on. And again, I was that guy in my mid-20s, my young 20s. I was putting makeup in my hair. My roommates had no idea.
I didn't know you were losing your hair in high school. Sorry, another sidetrack, but that's insane to think about.
Well, it just started. I just started losing my temple area. I didn't know if it was a bad hairline, and I just noticed, which is what I told myself because it felt better, or if I was actually starting to lose my hair that early. So it was slight, but yeah, it definitely started hitting me. Yeah. The mood ring effect, guys. It looks different all the time. And just to finalize, you know, check out our Instagram page and check out my picture. You know, we're not photographers. You know, that's one of our weak points, I'd say. Sometimes we're not great at showcasing our results, showcasing our clients. We're definitely not videographers,
but we're very transparent with every single photo that we post.
But what I'm trying to say is that, you know, my result looks different. I get that question often on YouTube. Did you get another session done? Yours looks lighter, it looks darker. It's the mood ring effect. I'm not doing any more sessions. We haven't done any more sessions. I got my final result. It's different in all lightings. Check it out for yourself.